He's on mute.
Got it. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Here you
All
go.
right.
See you. There you are.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Hey.
There you go.
I don't know why. The first time I try to log on Zoom, every time I do it, it just doesn't go anywhere, and I got to restart the whole thing. I'm here.
Okay. Meeting
love
can
that
call to
Zoom.
order. We have a full quorum. First item on the agenda would be to approve the minutes from the meeting of November 18th. Pretty short minutes. Talks about a letter to the select board. The letter has been sent. Need a motion to approve the minutes if there are no discussion.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. So, and we move on to the harbor management plan. We're going to go pretty quickly until we get to the dredging, and I'll explain my concern there. I very much appreciate the proofreading that was done and all the suggestions. It's a big step forward. And I'll try to be sure that those are all taken advantage of. If you look at the introduction, the only comment I have, as I look at the draft as it exists now, is that the draft reports twice about the comments twice about the need to look at the total harbor planning, that it's not only conservation issues, but there's shell fishing issues, health issues, shoreline structure issues. It makes that point twice. I propose to condense that into one paragraph and go with that. It's a fairly small change. So without objection, I will do that, and we'll have then go on to the final approval process. Next thing is on climate change. I finally got from Steve Smith a copy of views of various marshes on the Cape showing the effect of sea level rise, showing where the marsh has been lost, where it's still existing, where it can expand into. Have you all had a chance to look at that? And what's your reaction to it? I think it needs some more explanation in the text, which is where I'm leading to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, John, to maybe expand that a little bit.
I thought
that was the map, John, that had the red on it. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's another one. There's another one I sent out since then.
Okay, let me look.
And were you able to see Steve Smith's presentation at the Wellfleet Harbor Conference, or link up to that?
Yes.
I saw it when yes, I saw it when he did.
Oh, that's what you're talking. Okay, I'm with you. Yep.
Yeah. Well, this to me was sort of the key point in that presentation. I thought it was a great presentation.
Let me ask you this: did we got a link to that? Didn't we, from Jeanette?
Yes.
Why don't we? Can we include that link in there with this presentation? In other words, not the whole conference, but just his presentation part. I bet you we could if we tried.
I will ask Jeanette. We already have in our plan a link to the papers that were behind this, but those papers are are very technical. And I've read through them, but they're a bit of a grind even for me.
But they're available by link as well, correct?
They're already available, and Courtney's put them up on our website. But
Okay.
the question of getting a link to the presentation itself from Jeanette Kerr is a good one. So,
All right. This is going online, right?
yeah, she's got it online. I guess the only question is, I don't know for how long it's going to stay up, because it's on the Mass Audubon website, but I'll find out from Jeanette.
Oh, yeah, right. And I'm talking about the town website.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
well, I
right.
would like to
Oh,
see
yeah,
if I
yeah,
can
yeah.
move it from there to here, just Steve's presentation, but we'll see.
Well,
We'll
all
see.
right. Ask Jeanette if she's going to remove it, because if she's going to leave it there like forever, I mean, I would doubt that it would ever get moved or changed.
Well,
I would just ask her, because
yeah, okay, good
usually
point.
those things stay the same for forever.
Good points. The explanation, by the way, I talked about an explanation. This is what I had in mind, that the two marshes which are easiest to explain and in a sense most interesting are the gut marsh, which is D, and the Nauset marsh, which is F. And in the gut marsh, first of all, people know it because it's in Wellfleet, and you can easily see what's been lost, what's still there, and where the expansion area is. Or what's interesting about the Nauset marsh is there is no expansion area because the marshes are in the middle. And so they're going to get flooded out eventually. But Laura, this, from my point of view, this is a much better explanation of what we're trying to say when we talk about climate change in marshes than the red
map, yeah.
The red map. First of all, the red map is quite old, and it's not nearly as precise as this information. I mean, Steve's done a fantastic amount of work, and we're in his debt. So I'll find out from Jeanette if I can link to Steve's presentation. I'll explain using DNF as examples what the consequences of this work is, and that should wrap this up. Next chapter I have in mind was shell fishing. I only made two notes that in the first paragraph, we should make the point that shell fishing is the livelihood for many people in Wellfleet. In the recommendations, I just wanted to mention that there should be a shellfish management plan, and we would support and participate in that. John, is that something that's likely to actually happen? Shellfish management plan?
It's due to happen. Whether it will, I'm not sure. You know, the state of the the Shellfish Advisory Board's kind of in flux right now, so I don't know. We're working on it.
The last shellfish management plan was 2007, and it happened right. We did at that time a harbor management plan, and then a year later the Shellfish Advisory Board did a plan. And one thing they might want to think about is our plan this year is much shorter than the plan of 2006. And they might want to think about something like that. It might make it easier for them.
Didn't we talk about combining these two plans at one point? A shellfish management plan and a harbor management plan, or that, I think that was that meeting we had here with Owen Nichols.
Yeah,
that was the Curley report. That's right.
Yeah.
I thought just because shellfishing is such a big part of the harbor now, that it might not be a bad idea to combine the harbor management plan with the shellfishing management plan. You know,
the shellfish management, I guess my thinking is beginning to go in another direction, that what you get into issues in the shellfish management plan about how to allocate shellfishing plots, rules about taking of shellfish.
Correct. There's a lot of legal references from what I recall in the shellfish management plan.
What I hope that they might do is to take our shellfishing chapter and at least reference it or include it in their plan. And I think that would be a useful link.
All right, I will try out. So let me see where we're at. Becca and Tom, I believe. Becca is our new chair or co-chair.
Oh, good.
I forget how that was going to work, whether she was going to split the duties with Tom. I'm just not, I don't recall. However, let me check and see if we can get something on the agenda about when our next, I'm sure it should be on the agenda pretty soon, but let me see what I can do about that.
Of course, you've seen the shellfishing chapter. Tom saw it and said, okay. I think Nancy saw it and had no comment. So at least they're aware of the discussion in progress.
Yeah.
Now, the fact too, John, that we ought to keep in mind, it's occurred to me, maybe other members of the committee want to plug their ears at that this is we could consider this as a, because particularly as it's online, we could consider this as a living plan. You know, a couple of years from now, we may see some issues come up that we want to, which we hadn't anticipate that we wanted to comment or include on. We could do that. You know, whether the select board will eventually agree that that's the way they're willing to go on this, we'll ask. But at the moment, one of the advantages of having it online is it's easy to amend, change.
Yeah, it seems you could do that with just a simple note that, so our version next year is going to be the 2021 plan, and we can just say, you know, revision 2025 or something like that.
Well, not every year. I was thinking about every sort of 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You could just, whenever you decide you want to correct it, you can always just make note, because some people may still prefer to print this stuff out. You can just put right at the very beginning of it, like version 2 or 2025 plan, you know?
Yeah.
Tom had a comment.
Well, just, you know, harbor plan point 2.1 or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, honestly, I have a feeling it's aspirational to do something like that, but I have a feeling what's going to happen is once it's online, it's going to stay that way for 10 or 15 years.
Well, we could put it on the agenda every couple of months and see what happens.
I suppose, John, part of what I'm thinking is that, and we make the point in this report, there's an awful lot of science and work going on right now. Not only with respect to Wellfleet Harbor, but with respect to this whole problem of climate change, sea level rise, temperature going up. There's just a vast amount of information out there. And as new conclusions get reached, some of our emphases at least may shift. And it might be worthwhile to note those. But that's getting a
Absolutely.
bit off subject. I think the chapter on shellfishing is a good one, and we will let's move on to Wellfleet Harbor Marine Resources. In other words, the Curley report. And
So, yeah, the first comment I have about that is I like that title. Wellfleet Harbor Marine Resources. Is that what we're called?
that comes off the Curley report.
Well, a study of the marine resources
Yeah.
of Wellfleet Harbor. So it's not a study anymore, it's a report.
Yeah.
But anyways, we can't call it the Curley report forever. So
Well, we can, but no one else will.
well, the new one should have a new title, which should be our report. Call it the
Okay.
real report.
Yeah. How about, I was going to say the Duane report. But
Yeah. Well,
the only comment I had, John, is you in your proofreading, you mentioned economics of harbor related activities.
right.
Now, I'm inclined to refer to that by bouncing the ball over to the Shellfish Advisory Board and the Marine Advisory Board of the Harbor Master, because they're the ones that own that information. I think we should say it's important. People's living depend on it, both shell fishermen and shop owners, because the marina pulls people in, boating and
Right.
recreation.
Charter boats. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have any of the numbers.
Well, the town does. I mean, that's to tell you the truth, that's just mechanics. That's Courtney might be able to share this, but I mean, the town, the shellfish department, the marina, all that stuff is available online. I mean, it should all be available right now, whether it's online or.
Okay, I will look. If it's available online, I can quote it. If it isn't, I don't want to spend the effort to dig it out.
Yeah, no, it's there. And, you know, I've spoken with Nancy when I did that Curley report poster for the Harbor Conference. It was, she's got the numbers. It's just a matter of, you know, we need to have something that point to it. And it's literally just mechanics to get that stuff down. So it's the marina, it's the shellfish department, and what am I missing? Recreation, you know, and anything to do with the economics. It's probably going to take, just like with the Curley report, it's a paragraph.
Okay. Well, I'll see what I can find, but if it isn't readily available, I'm going to punt.
Well, okay. I mean, okay. Well, we'll figure it out. I'll help you with that if you need to. But it seems to me if we're doing a report on the resources in the Wellfleet Harbor Marine resources are economic too. So it should be, you know, the numbers, they change frequently. They changed a lot since 1972. So it's going to change every 5 or 10 years whenever we update it.
I'll make your deal. Let's both work on it, and maybe in a couple of days we'll get together and see what numbers we've got.
All right, I'll go for Nancy at the shellfishing, and I'll go for the marina. How's that?
Okay. And let's see, what was the third thing you? Oh,
I was
recreation.
thinking recreation. I mean, I'm trying to think what else generates. You know.
Trouble is that I mean, I have to go see what the report of the recreation supervisor.
For instance, anything to do with the ponds, you know, I mean, I'm just thinking anything to do with the income that comes in for, you know,
Yeah,
so
well,
there's shellfishing permits, there's fishing permits, there's,
right, okay.
you know, slip fees. So it's mostly the marina and it's mostly shellfishing, but I don't want to overlook it.
It's good to include recreation because, you know, people come to, if we didn't have a harbor, we wouldn't have people at the ponds. So.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Let me make a note about that. Where's a pen? All right. Dredging. I read through this a couple times last night, and as a chapter, it's got a lot of good content. Tom's had a number of good suggestions. I was very disappointed in the way I had put together a discussion of what we do next and why. And so I made some notes last night and this morning about what we're on about, what lay behind asking for the Black Custard report, the Mittermeier report.
Mm-hmm.
And the key issue is that what we're doing is we're seeking local control and lower costs over dredging. It's been, I know, pushing somewhere between 12 and 15 years since the last dredging. The harbor is a mess because it hasn't been dredged. And the problem is that we had to wait for external permitting, and even more important, we had to wait for external funding from both federal and state. And so if we can find ways to have local control over dredging, that's a big step forward with the town. And the second thing is that technically what we're trying to do is to, at least in terms of the inner harbor, is to take advantage of the local flows and currents. Basically what we're talking about is for example, to take the Black Custard, which is in the North Marina Channel, and get it out into Duck Creek. And there's a much faster flow in the Duck Creek current than there is in the Mayo Creek current. Mayo Creek current is often near zero. And that would allow the natural process of the flow to take the dredge material on up into Duck Creek, which is where it should be going anyway. So on this basis, we need to look for some additional modeling. We need to consider the possibility, particularly if Mayo Creek isn't open soon, that we may have to pump some material from the North Channel out to Duck Creek. That the natural process may not work, that if we're going to do that pumping, it needs to happen on a regular basis so you don't get this buildup, which is what leads to a lack of use. We have to think about Chipman's Cove as well. We have to think about the federal channel, which comes in from Jeremy Point to the breakwater. So I just think I was trying to be too condensed in what I wrote. I have to say some of this stuff. We have to say some of this stuff. So what I propose to do when we stop here is rewrite that about the last third of this report to make this clear what we're talking about. Should have done that up to now, but it really struck me last night that a reader who wasn't familiar with the issue wouldn't know what we're talking, what the hassle is. You'd think we were just having fun with Black Custard and not realize that there's actually some significant money behind this. Don't know for sure it will work, but it's our best idea.
So specifically, John, how would you word that in terms of recommendations or whatever?
I don't think the recommendations have changed so much. It's trying to explain people what lead us to make those recommendations.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking particular about, say, people who are on the, say, the harbor management, not the Marine Advisory Board, were reading this. I have, I've talked to them a couple times about it. I guess the nicest way to put it is their reaction was polite. But we have to keep making the sale, and I will try to do that.
Lower cost and local control will appeal to everyone. So if you put those objectives up front, you'll be in good shape.
Right. And this is something that the harbor masters talked about and the Marine Advisory Board. It's an issue which kind of gotten buried because everyone is concerned about getting the current dredging done. But it will arise again fairly soon.
Now, have they finished the federal channel dredging?
I don't know.
Year?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw them doing some work in the harbor. It looks as though that what they were working on was the mooring area. I haven't seen them moving up and down the main harbor. And maybe you don't need, maybe as you get down toward Jeremy Point, more dredging isn't needed.
Well, one of the things they had said was that if they finished, most of the federal channel, then there might be some time to work on the boat channel and the inner harbor a little bit before they hang out for the winter.
They're going to start working from out to in, so that's clear. So I guess the two main action items. One is to see if John and I can come up with some numbers for the economics, and for me to rewrite part of the dredging chapter. I don't know. I don't want us to keep spinning our wheels forever. We've got to make a so to speak, fish or cut bait decision on this. Because we have some extra work to do, we won't be able to get on the select board agenda until January. In January, I expect to be in Tucson, but if these meetings are all held by Zoom, it doesn't make any difference more or less where I am.
You could have yours outside.
Yeah, right.
Yes, right. As long as you don't mind working from Tucson, John, we're good with that.
Yeah, no, I've done that before. I've called into Friends of Herring River meeting. I know Zoom works over longer distances, so 7 o'clock meeting for the Board of Selectmen is 4 o'clock in the afternoon Tucson time. I'm quite happy to I'll sit with a cocktail and listen in.
You might need more than one.
If we got some good comments, questions, criticisms back, that's fine. We'll react to it. I have no problem with that. I would. Let's see. Next Thursday, let me get a calendar up here.
Next Thursday should be the 10th. No. Yes, that's right.
How are people for a meeting next Thursday, the 10th at the usual time, 8:45?
I think I'm okay with that.
Let me just check. Yeah, early in the morning's fine with me.
Laura, you're often the one that's,
Yeah, no, that's fine by me. Yep.
all right, so I'll post that. Once we see Thursday, so I could post it sometime Monday and be all right.
What's the agenda?
Finalize this.
Okay, well, in order to finalize this, what I would suggest, I assume I'm like everybody else. I got this as a folder with a bunch of chapters in it. Is that right?
That's right.
So it should be combined into one long Word document. And once it's all, I mean, I'll be happy to do the mechanics of that. Just chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Are all the chapters numbered?
Some format cleanup.
Yeah, just formatting.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
and before you submit it to the select board, the whole thing should be turned into a PDF document so that they click one document and there it is. And and somebody needs to proof. Laura, I appreciate it. It took me a long time just to do my one little chapter.
Yeah, I'm happy to proof again.
That's fine. So maybe between the two of us, once I'll assemble the whole thing into one long document, Word document. And that way we can square away all the hyperlinks and anything else that needs adjustment, get all the font correct, and make it prettied up. But the text of it should all be pretty much what we're working with now. Is that correct?
Very close. The only chapter that's going to be, well, there'll be something on economics and there'll be a rewrite of the last third of the dredging.
Okay,
the rest of it is pretty small changes.
So the last third of the dredging, is that something you're going to do, John?
Yep.
And by the way, thanks a lot for all the work you put into this. It's an incredible amount of work. So
yes, here.
Thank you.
But I'll be happy to proof it and do some mechanics of assembling stuff. And like I said, when it comes to the hyperlinks, make sure instead of having all the HTML, you know, spelled out, just have a link that says whatever we're trying to point to.
Okay.
So I will try.
I would suggest, John, that what we do is, I mean, since this can't go to we're not going to be able to meet with the board until next month. What I suggest is we work with the format we have now and take a vote that we're set to go, and then put things all together again.
Okay.
Put things all together in a final form. We don't need a vote for that. And that way we're not feeling rushed to get things done which aren't related to content.
All right, well, I may go ahead and try to figure out how to put what we have right now in that folder that you sent us into one document so that we can just do chapters 1 through, I don't even know how many chapters there are, 7 or something like that.
Okay. And I mean, obviously, if the Board of Selectmen would prefer to see paper copies, I mean, it's easy to print out. The core reason, apart from the fact that it's easier, the core reason for having it online is that you have links to all the references.
Right.
If this were a technical scientific paper, there would be an appendix with a list of references, and most people don't know how to get to where those references are. For example, the work of Steve Smith, whereas here, you just click on it and away you go.
Right.
Said we don't need a vote. We've got some tasks. Is there anything else that people would like to raise, discuss?
I think we're gradually moving to finality on this, it would seem.
Yeah, right. One way or the other, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other good thing about it being online is it can be changed if need be.
That's right. That's right. Any other issues besides the plan? Okay, we have work to do, and we will see each other a week from Thursday. Thank you all very much for all the proofreading and help you've given.
Thanks,
Right.
John.
Okay, John, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care now.
Yep,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Courtney.